All right, it's live, so I better start talking. Hey guys, how are you? Welcome to Virtual Collage Jam for what's the date? 23rd, right? For June 23rd, 2025. And it is our last scheduled collage jam, but it is not our last collage jam before summer break because we'll be doing one more special one, as I mentioned last time, from my exhibition at Station Gallery. So looking forward to doing that, and that will be. Sorry, my camera is confusing me because it goes the other way, which I don't think it usually does. Anyway, so better to look at you anyway than my view. Um, so yes, I'm going to have one more, as I mentioned last time, and I'm about to get the promotion about that out. But on Saturday, June 5th, we will be doing a Collage Jam live, like we had done in years past at Gladstone. This time we'll do it from my show, which should be fun. To be surrounded by collage, doing collage, I think that should be a lot of fun. Um, and I was trying to figure out what the theme should be, and I thought, oh, I could sit there thinking hard and trying to figure out just the perfect theme, or I could just use the title of the show, which is Peeling Back the Layers. So that is going to be our optional. Our themes are always optional theme for that. So you could use it metaphorically or literally. And the reason we used it for my show, it was Kim's writing. Bless her. Thank you, Kim. Was because it was both literal and, for me anyway, it's both literal and figurative because I do a lot of day collage, as you guys know, and um, a bunch of the collage um, is about identity and figuring myself out. So yeah. Hey guys, and we have Janice. Hello. Thank you. Yes, it's new, so it's nice and fresh, which is awesome. And hi Val, nice to have you along. How are you doing? I hope you haven't been running outside. Kim and I went downtown on Sunday, yesterday, to Science Center protest, which had a small turnout, as you can imagine, in that heat, um, and it was just brutal. But like on our way down, we saw people out running. It was like we were driving down at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's like, really, you're running in the heat of the day in a heat wave. Like, if you're gonna run in a heat wave, wait until the sun's gone down or go really early. It's like it's like, oh well. There's that phrase, mad dogs and Englishmen, right? So yeah, there were definitely some mad dogs and English people out there running. So so our theme for today, um, our optional prompt is resistance and resilience, and I was thinking, because it's Pride, of course, right? So there's that. But I was also thinking that it's almost Canada Day, and I was thinking that Canada has, since the regime change south of the border, has also been under threat and having to resist, right, and be resilient and be resourceful and all those other good R words, right? So that's what I was thinking, but you can use it however you wish, right? Because our prompts are just that, they're prompts, and if they are useful for getting you going, great. And if they are like, yeah, that the one doesn't speak to me, then just whatever, right? So oh my God, Val. Val was outside doing a 5K yesterday and 10K this morning. Well, 5:30 is better, but I bet your 5K yesterday wasn't. Well, I hope it was early. Let's just put it that way. And Lisa Kemp, how are you? It's been a while since you were here. Um, It's great to have you back. Awesome. Yay. So I'm going to switch to my overhead camera. Well, move the camera, and then I'll get started on what I've got planned, which is um, I kind of feel like my idea for this theme is shallow as a tinker's bath, but I think it'll be fun anyway. You'll see in a minute. And Jane is joining us. Hello, Jane. Awesome. Just came inside. Don't find it that bad because there's a breeze. Oh, that's good. Yeah. Kim and I went out to the bank, which is a very strange phrase because we never do that anymore. But I had to do my name change there in person, and dealt with a really, a really, really lovely banker, which was awesome. But yeah, we had to go outside too, and I didn't feel much of a breeze. Oh, actually, the flags were, yeah, but it still was like where we were going, there was a lot of concrete, right? So it's like baking, and it was like 10 o'clock in the morning. So, yeah, I'm happily back into my air conditioning. Um, uh, is that Maria? It is, right? Yeah. Sorry, my eyesight is pretty poor and it's like gray lettering on black. So, hello, Maria. Great to have you along. Yay. And Lisa says it's good to be back. Congrats on the show at Station Gallery. Yeah, I'm really proud of the show. I think it's well, I was going to say I think it's my best yet. I haven't had. I think it's my first ever like, well, is it my first public gallery solo show? I guess if you count the one I did in last year in Midland as a public gallery at Quest Art, then no, it isn't. But it's very similar in basic layout to that show in Midland, but I know a bunch of you guys, Midland is a long way away. Not for Janice, who is in Midland, but for the rest of us, right? Most of us are in around Toronto. So Whitby's easier to get to. It's by the GO station. And yeah, I've done a couple of things that I'm really proud of. First of all, I did some wall prints that are even taller. So they're 10 feet tall by 7.5 feet wide, which is awesome. And I also, the other thing I did there that I was really happy with is I asked the curator whether they had a movable wall because I like to have something in the middle of the gallery that obstructs your view, like across the gallery. And the reason, why would you want that? Because it makes you sort of go around to get a better view. So, and it increases your, the viewer's engagement and interest. Like, oh, what's that I'm seeing a glimpse of, right? Or then, oh, I see this other thing from this other angle now. So, but they didn't have a movable wall. And so I'm like, So I made out of foam core and old large scale prints that were somewhat damaged from Midland. I made this kind of large contraption of foam core and collages in the center with some cutouts and with a bunch of images. And so you can look through it, you can walk around it, you can see the pieces on the wall through it. So I think that's pretty cool. So, but enough about that. Let's get collaging. And Philippa is joining us. Hello, Philippa. Awesome to have you here. She says, back from Trump land. I brought the weather back with me. You're allowed to bring the weather. Well, actually, it's a bit too hot, but as long as you're back safe, Philippa, I'm very grateful, right? Because that's a scary place to be going these days. So yeah, welcome back to the land of the hugs. And yeah, so I'll switch to the overhead camera and get this party started. Meanwhile, let us know. Sorry. close that before I do it. Let us know in the comments if you have a plan for this theme or if you're going to do something else. All good, whichever you do, of course. I'll just get this camera set up here and hopefully get it reasonably well positioned here. That doesn't look good. Oh man, okay. My computer tried to go to sleep. I hope you guys are still with me. Let me know in the comments. I'm not even sure what happened there. My screen went black for a minute, but am I still here? Let me know. Someone comment if it's still good. And I will get going. Okay, thank you, Jane. That's good. And Janice says she's going to maybe use up bits and bobs, hoping addresses the theme somewhat. Yeah, don't worry. I mean, whatever, as I always say, the theme is just to get you going, right? And if it does that, it's done its job. So, and sometimes we don't need the prompt to get us going. All right, switch to my collaging glasses from my computer glasses. And so, all right, so what have I got planned? As I said, it's kind of shallow, I think, but I think it'll still be fun. I printed off some pictures of some of the men I admire most in the world, you know, like guys I really appreciate their leadership. You know, there are just so many of them who are so inspiring. And so I thought I would play with their images in a very sort of facile but enjoyable way for me, and insinuate, you know, help them with their visuals and sort of start increasing some get some pride flags and some trans flags and some peace symbols, and just you know, help them really like support them visually with their messages of love and acceptance and peace, you know. So so that's the plan, such as it is. So there are just so many options. I don't know where to start. Actually, I do know where I want to start. I just have to find it. All right, so that's my silliness, and hopefully you have some fun ideas as well. So I'm just going to get started cutting some things out here. So I think JK needs a little wardrobe change, so we're going to help her out there. Just not quite sure how to go about this. I'm sure I'll figure it out. Which edges I want to use or not. What if well, I'll start with start with this plan, and then we'll see where we go from there. And let's mark that out. Or do I want the? Yeah, I think I want the back part as well. Sorry, just talking to myself. And so while we're busy working on our collages, or if you next time you need a break, maybe you can tell us what you have planned for the summer. Anything fun? I guess the next thing up for me, fortunately, I'm getting a little bit of downtime because I really have been pushing hard, both on first on artist project and then on my exhibition. So my next big thing to do is not until I go up to Haliburton. So that's a good thing. So I'll be teaching 2 weeks in Haliburton, the middle 2 weeks of July. So looking forward to that. The collage one is going to be fun. It always is. And then I've got a landscape course as well. So, but the collage one, I mean, come on. I mean, if I love both the courses that I teach up there, but that collage one I'm really fond of. So, of course, looking forward to that. And what else? So that basically sees a lot of July, not all of it, but a good half of it, and a little more usually, including prep and then coming back and recovering. But August, maybe we'll go somewhere. I'm not sure. And that is part of our problem, is we're not so great at planning. So, but we might do something, maybe just go somewhere, not like up to camping or cottage country or something like that. I think I'm going to need to take the sleeves off too, but we'll see. We'll see. All right. I guess it would have been better if I found a flag that had more ripples in it, but I guess in this case we're going to be more graphic. There's some ripples there, but it's really not much. Now, is that enough? No, I think I am going to remove this. I'll just take this sleeve out as well and just leave her hand. kind of not working, is it? Oh well, I'll figure out something. This is why you have to start and then see where it goes. Let's see what happens if I put some of that back. I guess what I should have done is printed like a more rippling flag. Like this is not the flag I want, but something like this would have probably been better. Yeah, oh well. Oh, I'm not going to sweat it too much because I'm just getting this party started. So I will. I'll warm up, I think, as I go. So this first one will just be a warm up. So I'm not sure about. I kind of feel like I need to remove what's behind her too, like this type. So all right, I have first things first, get rid of that, and then we'll see where we go. Actually, maybe what I'll do is cut across, so that. Okay, so this is going to be light. It's going to be nicer if this was. If I replace this with something darker. Okay, so maybe. All right. All right. I'm not doing every little detail of these earrings, guys. They are too much cutting. But I will sort of generalize a little bit. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, it's not a shadow of her, or is it part of her? I think it's part of her hair, so I better include it. All right. So meanwhile, while I'm busy making myself happy with simple pleasures, what are you guys cooking up? What have you got planned? I'll check in the comments in just a minute or two. You know, I got used to, recently, I finally started using tweezers more, which is unusual. For a long time, I never found them helpful, and now I really do. But I didn't get them out. So now I'm thinking, where are my tweezers? I need them for this. But it's very, like, I find it, for what I do, it's not it's not usually about placing a small piece into place. It's more about taking out the little pieces of cutouts, and then it might just be stuck a little bit just with couple of last paper fibers, and just like pulling them off. That can be useful, at least for me. But everyone uses their tools differently, of course. So as it should be. I didn't finish the earring. How convenient. All right. So the problem I'm going to have to work out with this is by taking the background out, which is going to be helpful. I'm also losing the edge that defines her shoulders and clothing. So I'll have to bring that back somehow, and probably just by, all right, I have an idea. So, all right, the question is vertical stripes or horizontal stripes. And I think it's going to be, it's going to be 6 of one, half dozen of the other, right? Whichever way I do it. Or diagonal might be best of all. Yeah, diagonal is definitely better. I'm just finding a good spot. There. So now what I'm going to do is just cut this out using this as a template, and then I'll be able to put it in place on a new background. Now, if I really wanted to make this like hyper convincing, which would be fun too, but it would require a little more preparation. I think there are programs that you can say, this is the design I want, and could you map it onto this piece of clothing? Like Kim does that, uses some software that does that with her designs for products like scarves and clothing. And stay tuned for more of that from her. But yeah, it's pretty cool because she just uploads flat art, and it will map it onto a picture of someone wearing whatever product. It's like a place that prints your artwork and puts it onto like tote bags or clothing or scarves or whatever. So if I did that, if I did use something like that, this could be very convincing. But it wouldn't map it onto this particular image, would it? So there's that. But so that's one thing that would be cool. But there's also something in these days of like Photoshop wizardry and AI, especially AI. There's something I love about like the low techness of hand collage. And I'm sure I'm a dinosaur in that respect, right? But sometimes it's more interesting if it's less perfect, and like this is definitely less perfect, right? But I think it's still going to be I'm still going to enjoy it, I think. So, all right. Apparently, I didn't quite finish cutting that out. Walking and chewing gum. All right, it was just the shoulder that I missed. All right, it's been a while since I checked comments, so I'll do that, and then I'll come back to start piecing this together on some kind of a background. Maybe like stronger pink and blues. One thing I really am not fond of about the trans flag is these sort of, and these super pale colors. Oh well. Let's see. So Philippa says, when does your show end? I'm going up north the weekend until July 20th. Yeah, you'll be fine. As Lisa says, the show runs from June 14th to August 23rd. So you'll definitely have time to see it, Philippa. And I would really love for you to see it. As someone whose work has inspired me, it's nice to be able to inspire others too, right? So Janice says, so talking about summer plans, Janice says, taking a couple of days for mini vacation into the city in early July, Fringe Festival and AGO. That's going to be awesome, Janice. I know it's a trek for you to get down here, but it's gonna be awesome. And hopefully this heat will have dissipated by then. And let's see. So Lisa says she's having a staycation, planning to spend the summer doing small projects around the house, gardening, and finishing some collage projects. Yes, thank you, Janice, for explaining the laugh emoji. Yeah, my favorite folks, right? And Lisa, that sounds great. Yeah, sometimes less is more, right? The last several days, Kim and I have been going out to openings and events, and that's been great. That's been great. Don't get me wrong. It's great to see other people's work. It's I've been in a couple of juried shows that I wanted to be in. So we went to the openings, but yeah, then we just want to get home. Just want to like put on our comfortable clothing and chill. And yesterday we really wanted to get home to chill, right? So yeah, and if you have and Lisa, I know you have an amazing garden, right? So that's going to be a really like when you have a beautiful garden, it's very nourishing, right? It's a good place to be. So that's awesome. And of course, working on collage projects, I mean, it's perfect, right? So yeah. All right, grab some paper. I half is not the right word, but a chunk of my studio, some of my collage things are missing because I included them in a little secondary display at my exhibition. So I looked over at my shelf and like, oh wait, where's my? Oh right, it's not there. So that was pretty funny. All right. If I had designed it, the trans flag colors would have been brighter, more like this. So, but So I'm thinking like, yeah, there's not going to be much left of this image, just sort of our central figure, our queen, and maybe I don't know exactly how these background pieces are going to go, but so look like if I put our arm back in. That might actually be worth doing. But if I do it on this side, I lose the entire flag. So I have an idea. What if I just put it in a couple of... Oh, let's see. All right, I have an idea. We'll see whether it works. Okay. All right, so the idea is to just take the shadow areas of this sort of sheer thing she's wearing and cut them out, and then put them put them over top of the trans flag. So there will be an illusion of fabric, but also the graphic flag. And let's just see whether it will work. I think it's possible it will. I think my blade must be dull because it's pulling. So time to fix that. So something that was really cool about working on my show that I'll share with you guys was I've always talked about, and I talk about it at like whenever I'm talking about my work, the fact that I like to work small, like this is a good size for me. And so that's one of the reasons why I do the small originals and then the huge enlargements. But for this show, when I was working on that sort of central collage sculpture, I was working on something very large, and actually that was fun too. So that was really instructive. So I thought it might work better than that. I thought it would be kind of more like, now it just kind of looks like branches or something. But I don't know. Where did this one's from here. Okay. All right, I'm going to try. All right, it's time to, you know what, I still might do it, and I might put these pieces in here as well. So yeah, I think it's worth trying. I'm gonna do it anyway. I am just like a bundle of non sequiturs, guys. I'm sorry, because I'm talking about one thing, then I'm looking at this, thinking about it. So sorry about that. All right, I'm not sure I managed to get out the sentiment that. So when I was at Station Gallery, I thought, okay, if I'm going to make a big collage sculpture in the center, I have to do it there. So because we don't have the space here. So I bought some big sheets of foam core, and I took a bunch of old prints that were still salvageable and still had adhesive backs. Some of them were crinkled, but they were still somewhat usable. And once we had sort of the stuff up on the walls, I still had several days, which was good. So I just like went to the gallery each day and worked on this big sculpture. And I had the idea that like, okay, if it works, great, and if it doesn't, I won't have the sculpture. But it did work, and it was really interesting working on something that, now I already had my collages, but I still had to cut out big things. I had several several banquet tables pushed together with cutting mats on them, and I was cutting, like huge swaths rather than small things, and yeah, that was really fun too. Um, so at Station Gallery, Kim and I are quite familiar with the people who work there because Kim had a show there. We both taught there in the past. But Kim's show was in 2023, so just a couple of years ago. And so, we get along with the curator. They have a really, really good installer there named Ian. And so Ian is he's a very he has like insane skills. Like he's like installing too, but he's also an artist, and he makes hyper realistic pieces. So he's jaw dropping in terms of his technical skill. And so when I was telling him what I had planned for the center of the gallery, he said, "But you've got a plan anyway, right? Like you know what you're doing. You've got it worked out." I said, "Not really." And he said, "Well, you have some ideas," and I said, "Okay, as much idea as I have is like the sculpture is going to work on the basis of two pieces, like fitting together like that, into slots in each other, so it would stand up. And I have these prints of my large collages," and I said, "And that's it. So from there on, it's just going to be improvised." And that's the way it went, and the improvisation worked, fortunately. And so yeah, so it worked out well. But poor Ian was like, not having a plan was something he was having a struggle with, because he knows that I will plan things very carefully, some of them, right? um, like I sent them wall plans of the entire exhibition, like with measurements of like, these are the pieces, this is how it should go. I mean, I got the curator to sign off on it, but he didn't have any changes. So that was, yeah, Ewan was having a little difficulty wrapping his head around that degree, that sort of contrast of like control versus not. So, all right, what are we gonna? I have some ideas for you. I just need to figure out what you're going on, because I kind of want to get some of these pieces glued down so that they're not all loose. And I kind of feel it should be. Let's see whether she looks better on blue or on pink, or maybe it should be both. And if it is both, how should it be both? Should it be straight down the middle? Should it? I mean, I could see doing stripes, but I'm more lazy than that, so. And of course, it's not really testing very much if I just put the central piece and not the other pieces even roughly in position. So I think because she's vertical, I want the bands to go horizontal. And I think I will do, yep, I'm going to do horizontal stripes. And so, all right, I'm going to glue one of these down, and then I'll cut stripes out of that one. So I know a bunch of you guys work in different ways with collage. If you're coming up for air and want to put a comment in about how you relate to like planning and organization versus serendipity and chance, because I think those are, that's something that fascinates me, how those fit together, and I think that they can fit together in innumerable ways, right? You can have all planning, you can have no planning, you can have all serendipity, you can have no serendipity, and you can have anything, any sort of proportion, or maybe it's a stage that's more serendipitous than it's a planning stage, or maybe it's a planning stage then serendipity. But I'd be curious if you have any insights into how you use those two things. This the glue stick I picked is I don't know, the consistency is not right, so and I'm just trying to decide if I'm going to worry about it or not. It's going to mean for this piece is a bit lumpier, but so maybe what I'll do is not worry about it for this, but maybe switch for the next thing I'm gluing. Yeah, I'm going to try a different one. See if that works better. Yeah, so I'll let you guys put any comments in about that if you like, and I'll come check on them in a few minutes. Meanwhile, do some stripes, and I think I'll just use the grid of my cutting mat to help me make them consistent. I think like 1.5 inches. I think that's what that is. Makes sense, or feels about right. So well, if I'm gonna knock my ruler out of place, that's not gonna help much, is it? All right, let's try and do that a little more carefully now. Yep. All right. I'm going to start at the bottom. I don't know why, but actually maybe I better not. Okay, you know what I should do? Because this is an area where I didn't really figure it out ahead of time, so I'm just going to roughly place them and see whether, I don't know whether 8.5 divides. Yes, it does apparently divide into 1.5-inch chunks. That's good. All right, so, all right, so now I'll glue them in. Yeah, this glue stick's a lot happier. I think it's the other one had maybe been left open too long. So, sorry if my big head's in the way. I just have to get over it so I can line it up properly. And so what I'm going to do is I have more stripes than I need, so I'm going to use one of them to just place without gluing to help to use as a spacer for the next stripe, and then I'll keep going. All right. Well, well, I don't know about you guys, but yeah, actually, it's looking on camera kind of pretty much like it does look, and it's a bit of a complementary buzz because it's sort of magenta-y, cyan-y. Oh, all right, so it didn't divide quite evenly after all. All right, so should I maybe do it this way? Because maybe I think with the bottom we'll notice it less. So, all right, so I'm going to put them in here. Do I want to center her? I mean, if I center her, which makes sense in some respects, but I guess, do I want to put something else in there? Like, I don't know. It kind of feels like a good composition if she's off center and then there's something over here. I just don't have the idea yet what that would be. Right? And maybe it should be over here. I don't know. I think over here. So I'm gonna put her in on this side and have faith that something will occur to me for that side. And also I'm gonna get a few classic. I'm gonna get a few started hopefully, and then just see where we go. I mean, famous last words, right? I often think that I'm going to do 5 collages in one jam, and then it's like more like a fifth of a collage rather than my always overly ambitious plans. That's unfortunate, but maybe I'll put something on her head that usually a good rule to go by is to, if you're going to have a head and a line, either make sure it's short enough below the line or over it, unless there's a really strong reason for it to actually just touch like that. That just happened to be the way. Oh man, that just happened to be the way it was, and yeah, it's not my favorite. But again, that's sort of I didn't plan that well enough, so it is true that an ounce of prevention or a little bit of forethought, and I don't know, I kind of feel like forethought has gone out the window with me lately. I've just been so I don't even know what, struggling with absent-minded professor land. It's kind of interesting having it offset. I'm not even sure why, but like why that makes sense, or that it makes sense, but there's something interesting about that. All right, so I might not glue that down right away in case that's interesting. And okay, I'm going to glue that in. Unless I doubt it makes more sense to go the other way, but because shadows make more sense than, yeah. Although this, paradoxically, this does look better than I thought it would, even though it's kind of the opposite. But let's take another look. It's interesting, you know, this piece makes more sense, right? Like a shadow area, but somehow it's just looking like this sharp tree-like thing, or scratches or something, rather than folds. So even though it doesn't make sense visually, because if I do this, this is then taking what was shadow areas and making them light, which there's no sense to that, but I might do it anyway because it seems to look better. So this was here, so I need to see if I can find my little triangular scrap. I wasn't planning on doing that, so I may not have held on to it. Oh wait, what's that thing? What's that thing? Sometimes the magic works. Okay, all right. And I'll check in on comments in a couple minutes. I'll just get these couple pieces glued in, and then see what you guys are saying about how you work with planning and serendipity, or chance and planning and chance, I guess, is the simple way to say it. All right. So first thing I'm going to do is test putting some stuff into this, and then I'll see whether I want to shift it it's weird, but I kind of feel like shifting it's interesting. So maybe that, even though it makes less sense, it might be more interesting. So all right. The pink of this is actually not that far away from the trans flag pink, so that's interesting. Wonder if there's an opportunity with that. Well, maybe I should just leave it at that. And I also have the piece in her. All right, I'm just going to go for it because I think that's, for whatever reason, I think that's working. So I'm not going to fight it. I'm going to go with it. I am trying to learn not to overthink things. And sometimes that means I do that, like, oh, I should have glued that piece down first. Anyway, it's not a big deal. I can glue it onto this piece and then glue them both down. Because I've spent a lot of my life overthinking things, and overthinking all too often leads to perfectionism, or even worse, immobilization. And both of those are things that I've sort of had to overcome in order to be able to be the artist I want to be. All right, that's kind of cool, actually. I think it's just now on her sleeve, but these pieces kind of feel like they belong somehow. So, okay, good. So I'm going to glue those in after comments, and let's see where we're at. All right. So, so Jane asks. Jane asks, where is Station Gallery? So Station Gallery is in Whitby. And it's so Whitby's a bit of a hike. It's east of Toronto, but it's on the plus side. Station Gallery is within sight of the GO station, so you can, if you get yourself down to Union Station, you can take a GO train to Whitby, and if you exit on the south side of the tracks and use your Google Maps, you can. It's like a 5 or 7 minute walk from the station to the gallery, so that's awesome. If you're driving, it's if you get off at, just trying to think what the I think it's Brock Road. I'm not. I can't remember the exit, but it's the exit that's closest to Station Gallery is like from the time you're exiting the 401, you'll be there in like 5 minutes. So it's quite convenient to both GO and the 401. So Jane says serendipity mostly for her, but if an idea comes to mind, I just concentrate on finding or looking for things that could work. Yeah, exactly, right? And put them together more by instinct, right? Other times I want to tell a story, so there's more planning involved. Right, exactly. Like, I think, like right now I'm being fairly intuitive, but I did some thinking about what kind of materials I wanted to find for this particular idea of like juxtaposition, these two basic things, the the sort of right wing politicians and the left wing uh, symbols. So yeah, so that's, I think having a bit of both is good. So Lisa Kemp says it depends on what I'm working on. Sometimes I just gather images and put them together more by instinct. Other times I want to tell. Oh, that's sorry. I somehow skipped to you, Lisa. Thinking it was Jane. Oh, Lordy. yeah, so I didn't finish Jane's comment. Oh boy, guys. So Jane was saying looking for things that work, but then often switch gears entirely, which comes back to serendipity. And so Lisa, as I says, depends on what she's working on. Gather images and put them together more by instinct. Other times, planning a story, so there's more telling a story, so there's more planning. Lisa says she's working on a collage about women's rights, and it requires research and planning to tell the story correctly. Exactly, like something like that. You want to find the right people, the right symbols. And this is something I'm bad at, but I'm gradually learning is like to be sensitive and careful about the kinds of images you use and how you use them, right? So, yeah, so that's great. Yeah. Valerie says, I usually have an idea to start with. Um, then what? Then what that's saying? Then with what that's saying, we make plans and God laughs. Oh, what's that saying? We make plans and God laughs. Yeah, it kind of ends up going its own way. Exactly. And Janice laughs at that. And that sort of comes back to why I give you guys the prompts, right? Because there is this this illusion of control and the comfort that comes with it when we think we have a plan, right? And that emboldens us or helps us like, okay, yeah, I got an idea, I'm going to go with it. And I think that's actually the most important thing. And then God laughs. Like, I laugh along with God most of the time because I am willing to, well, it's still work in progress, but I think that I'm getting better about being more open to the idea like, yeah, that was the plan, but what's happening now is much better. I think the more we sort of hold tight to those plans, regardless of what the universe or God or providence or chance or serendipity is providing us with, then that's where we get into trouble, right? If we're open to that, then all kinds of wonderful things can happen. So. So I'm going back to my piece and thinking about about the shift or not the shift, or do both things shift, or do neither things shift? And so this is an interesting thing. So Janice was saying she really loved the shift, and so I was thinking, oh, okay, yeah, you're right. But there's also something that I'm liking about not the shift. So, and is that me just being more conservative and less playful? Probably. So, maybe what if it's like a small shift that just gives a little glimpse of more of that background color? I think for me, and I know Janice is saying that, no, go with the bigger shift. But I think for me, I'm going to go with the smaller shift, not tiny, but not huge. Because then I'm sort of getting a bit of what I want in both sides. So, you know what? I'm sorry, Janice. I'm going to go with this one. So there you go. That's actually often unusual for me, but for this one, I think it's maybe because I haven't collaged in a while, so I am clinging to my plan a little bit more than I might if I were well warmed up and in the middle of an intensive creative bout. But I really haven't done much collage other than on Virtual Collage Jam since my push to get the artist project done. So I've been more on like dealing with the things I need to do for exhibitions and promotion and all of that all the other stuff, right? So so maybe in one of the next ones I'll be loosening up a bit more. All right, so that is as far as I'm going to take this one, and for now, right? It could use more, definitely, but that's a good start. I'm going to put that one aside, and I have a very simple one that I want to do, so hopefully simple. Famous last words, though. Using Darwin Pierre here. Share Pierre. And this one really is simple. I'm just gonna like cut him out and put a different flag behind him, like he's campaigning for LGBTQ rights. But you know, sometimes you need to keep it simple. Now, you know something that I actually don't know. Now, I'm doing these mostly for my own enjoyment, so I'm not worrying too much about copyright. But I'm wondering if I think with public figures like politicians, I think there's more leeway for using their images than there is for other people, and especially I think if it's for the purposes of satire, I'd have to go and look at my do some more research, because this is not something I play with very much. So but I mean, the photographer's work, regardless of whether or not it's kosher to use Pierre's image. Obviously, the photographer, in this case, if I use most of Pierre here, which I was thinking for this idea, that's his or her photograph. So there's that issue too. So, but I'm not planning on selling this work, so it should be all right. This is definitely more for my own amusement than anything else. So Oh, like I should have done a full size. Of course, like I printed up 2 up, but I should have printed it full size. Oh well. But that's, what is that? That's an opportunity in disguise, right? Right. So we'll just figure out a different plan. Now, if I wasn't just working on the jam here, if I was just working my studio, of course, I might just go back and, because this was found on the internet, I would just go back and print it the size that I need it. I had an interesting conversation with at Station Gallery with another artist who does collage and who has a photography background, and we were talking about how about digital collage versus analog, and he liked to work with. We both have experience in both, and it's true that like being able to resize things at whim, right, to whatever you need it to be, is pretty great, right? But there are also these downsides. So excuse me. We were both talking about the fact that if you can have if you have sort of limitless ability to adjust things as to the way, the size, and undo, and all the digital things that are awesome, that it makes it it changes the game a lot, right? Now, that's great having all that flexibility, but there's also something that we were both geeking out about the fact of when you collage with things you find in magazines and books, they are the size they are, right? And that limitation can actually be liberating, right? It forces you to be creative with what you've got, rather than like, oh, the perfect solution would be to make this like 10% bigger and so on. Now, I think that for what I do here with my hands when I'm making manual collages, I'm looking, sorry, finish one thought, Kat. Um, um, I actually prefer to work this way. That said, if I'm working on a design project, which I don't do too much anymore, but if I am, or a commission, like an illustration, then I think, I'm trying to make the best expression of this idea or whatever. So I will use any and all tools necessary. But I actually find for my art that I prefer to have the limitations. So, okay, so that's thought one. Then thought two is, okay, I just threw these down and I'm kind of loving it the way it is, right? It wasn't planned this way, and I might still change it, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a quick picture of that, because sometimes sometimes that just, there was no plan to that, and it's kind of cool. Now, I think there might be some other opportunities that are even more interesting, but they might not be, right? Like, it's that thing about God laughing, as Valerie was saying, right? Like, oh, what if we have like more of his head outline? Maybe it's not as good as I thought. And the more you line things up, maybe not, right? There's something about the fact that it was by chance, right? that was really working there. So yeah, so I had a different plan, but I think this might be, well, actually the part that I had planned, the other part of the plan can be changed. So I think I'm going to go with this. And I might just lop off a little bit to make it fit. But yeah, I'm just going to go with that. That was fun. There's something about the jostledness that was really good. Now, I don't know whether meaning-wise that is better or worse, the jostling. You know, maybe it isn't. I mean, conservative, if you want to represent a conservative viewpoint, you know, a more traditional, less interesting, more static, more stable kind of composition would be better. And I noticed that for the right-wing politicians that I was finding pictures of, for the most part, they were very much like that. They were very conventional, stable. There was nothing exciting about them, which you know is what they want to project. So having them, I think part of what was interesting about the idea of like then putting something like this behind them is that it plays with that sort of idea of stability, and it's like, you know, I'm stable and reliable and so on, and this is what I stand for, and the bait and switch is really good that way. So, but that jostling, I just love the composition better. So, so that's going to be the challenge, like whether I'm going to go with that or not. So while I'm thinking about that, I was thinking it would be great. They're not small enough. I had this idea that to just have a little, see, I was going to remove his tie and put some rainbow stripes in his tie as well, so that he's like wearing a rainbow tie. But I'm not sure I have any, well, these might, yeah, they're not small enough because it would have to be like all of the colors in a couple of inches. So there's a perfect case of like something that if I wanted to do that, it would make more sense to print it out differently, which I totally could do. All right, let's see if I can refine my jostling. Oh, that's why I took the photograph, right? So let's look at the photograph. And it's more like that. And then the question then becomes like, should it be it was higher, and that's why. Okay. See, this is sometimes why it's important to take the photograph, because you think you remember, and then you're wondering when you place it by what you remember, why isn't it looking as good as it did? It's funny, you know, the control freak designer in me is like, okay, this is good, but like, why don't you do something more planned, right? And so now I'm having this like back and forth in my brain about like, which one, right? So that's really interesting. So what I'm trying to do now is create a composition that that sort of straddles the two ideas of like the offset I was playing with, and still the use of the images, but with more more careful, like less. How do I express that? A little more control with the design, and I'm not sure that that's actually serving me, you know. But it's interesting to sort of notice that and think about it. And this is interesting because the designer in me likes to have like this little strip of the colorful stuff off to the side like that, but the original composition where it's right behind them, I think that makes it it more jarring in a good way for what I was striving for. So, all right, so I'm going to try just a few other options here. This is sort of what I had been thinking I was going to do before I noticed that how they had fallen. Yeah, we can still recognize the maple leaf with less than that, so maybe more like that. Get a little more rainbow happening. What if those two corners line up? Is that working? So part of me likes that because it's more, I guess it's more predictable. And you're like, why are you going with something more predictable, Kat? Yeah, well, it's a good question. My rationalization would be that it's to have that sort of conservative, that stableness, and then the bait and switch of the leftist kind of symbols. But I think the more I think about it, the more I think I'm just going to go with this. So I just have to figure out how it goes together and decide how I'm going to. So when I'm doing something like this, they're kind of all interweaved, which makes it trickier. All right, I was going to cut this side off to help it fit a little better. Just trim it down a little bit. And I can see that I'm going over time. I really can never believe how fast time goes. Yeah, so we're almost there. So I'm just going to, what I'll do, if you have to run right at 3:30, I understand. Thank you for joining us, and hopefully you can join us at Station Gallery on the July 5th, but I will also be streaming live from there. But I'll talk about that more in a second. But if you have to run, thanks for joining us. Please post your work on our Collage Jam website, not our website, our Facebook page. And I'm just going to get this back to the composition that I wanted. and then I'm just going to put some little pieces of tape to hold it in place so that I can then glue it the way I wanted it, and then I'll come over and sign off. Further down. You know, this is so funny. I'm like painstakingly trying to recreate a very loose arrangement that I didn't think about at all. I think there's something hilarious about that. Because there is. Yeah, I think that's pretty close anyway. So just put a couple of pieces of tape on that. Placeholders so that I can then glue it down carefully and still get it in the right place. And then I will come check out any comments and sign off. I need one more piece for that because one piece is not enough to keep it in place. All right, here we go. All right, so I'm going to switch over to just say to wrap up and put that down there. Switch glasses. All right, so so Lisa Kemp asks, are you planning to do any in-person or online classes in the fall? So I am sorry that I haven't done any this spring because with the artist project and then my exhibition, it's just been too crazy. But yes, I absolutely am. I've scheduled some in-person classes at Nielsen. I'm just trying to think if I can think of them off the top. So one is collage portraits. So right up your alley, Lisa. And or portraits in collage and mixed media, so it can include other aspects, but and that will be in person. There's also that will be online. Sorry, that will be online, and then in person at Nielsen, and I think it's like the late November is a 2-day, 2 successive Saturdays or Sundays, I can't remember for sure, workshop on collaging using gel plate prints. So the first day we'll be making a bunch of gel plate prints, and then the second day we'll be doing some collaging with those prints. So and both the gel plate printing is awesome, and then using those prints to collage with is also awesome. So and then I will also be teaching my own course of at least 1 or 2, probably 2 short, like 4 or 5 week courses on Thursday mornings, as I usually do. So yeah, sorry I've been not doing it, but I will be back, I promise. And at least one of those is going to be a collage course for sure. And Valerie says, I need to go, heading out on dragon boating. See you next time. So Val's probably already left, but that's so cool. Dragon boating. I love that. That's awesome. So I hope you enjoy it, Val, if you're still with us. And if not, sorry I missed you. So so we have one more bonus virtual collage jam coming on Saturday, July 5th. It's going to be a slightly different time. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'll do like an hour and a half live stream from the gallery, and then the in-person part of the virtual collage jam will be longer, so you can just like hang out and collage with us. So more on that. I'm actually going to be promoting that like today or tomorrow morning. So, yeah. So, yay! I'm glad, Lisa. It'd be lovely to have you back. And meanwhile, keep on collaging. And look, it's a Kim. If you stay around long enough, you get a Kim. All right, Kim, say hi.
Hi. I know you're saying goodbye, so I'm not going to hold you up, but lovely.
Yeah, Janice from Midland says hi. So, yeah. So, and you're going to be joining me in, I presume you're going to be coming out to station on our on
for
the 5th. Our live
sort of hybrid delivery, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Online for anyone who needs to be online, but in person for anyone who can make it.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Also, if you can see this show, it's awesome. It really, really is. You can't believe that collage and decollage can look like this. It's amazing.
Well, she's my agent, so you have to believe her.
Hi to Lisa as well as Janice. That's nice.
Anyway, guys, thank you very much. Welcome home, Kim. And sorry. And
you take center. You're the main character here.
And so we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Take care.